It's time for Energy Insights, where you get an inside view and a local perspective of all the oil and gas progress going on in the Mid-Ohio Valley. This program is brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association and can be heard every Saturday on WMOA AM 1490 and FM 101.3, JAW's Classic Country FM 100.9, and ESPN AM 630 and FM 92.9. Here's Johnny Wharf, your local host.
Energy Insights on a Saturday morning. Our guest today is Brian Clink. He is with GES as we talk about the oil and gas industry. We've first learned about GES and what you guys do and what that stands for.
So GES stands for Groundwater Environmental Services. We're an environmental consulting firm. We service industry and the oil and gas industry specifically in this area. We will do work ranging from air compliance, emissions compliance, to spill cleanup, remediation, do a lot of groundwater, baseline water sampling for the industry as well. So we have approximately 50 employees serving the Western PA, Southeast Ohio area. So.
Yeah, Brian, so I think of a lot of times when you think about compliance, you're like, oh gosh, here they come. Well, what's wrong? But I think more and more it's about, let's get these guys in here so that we know we're moving in the right direction. Do you feel that way as well?
Yeah, I do, and we do. The regulations are out there; they're passed. The companies need to comply; they want to comply, and we have the experience to help them comply, hopefully in a cost-effective manner, and do what makes sense, and actually keep them from sliding one way or the other. So,
and then the CE or the continuing education part of it that you have to keep track of, whether it's a new administration, whether it's DREG or wherever it's going. I would imagine that is a whirlwind of everyday stuff, right?
It is, not only on the regulatory side. New technologies and equipment continue to come out, so we need to keep our technicians up to speed on what may be the best way to remediate a situation or do some air monitoring or. There's again a lot of new technologies that we try to stay on top of. So we use the SUGA and some other organizations as a way to communicate and also gain knowledge through these groups to help us out. So
through the organization, maybe SUGA then could reach out to their members and say, this has to be done at this certain time or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it keeps the SUGA members abreast. The producers of oil and gas, we're servicing them, and we try to find a cost-effective way to do that. So.
Okay, the GES of my FCC, probably, right? So that's the way that works in the radio business. Yeah. Our guest is Brian Clink. He is with the GES. The program is Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Our conversation continues, and we have Brian Clink back with us. He is with GES. Give me again what it stands for.
That's Groundwater Environmental Services.
Yeah, so talk a little bit about, let's go straight, Brian Clink, in terms of how you get into this particular field, because I see a lot of times, ODOT or whatever, that maybe the guy that worked, for the highway department comes into the compliance side of things because of the knowledge they gain there. What kind of background do you bring to the table?
Yeah, so my background has always been in environmental compliance. After graduating from college, worked for as a consultant for the federal government for the U.S. EPA in the Department of Energy, and then moved here to Ohio in the early 90s in industry. So I worked for a number of manufacturers in Northeast Ohio, and then when the oil and gas really took off, the unconventional as well as the conventional drillers in Ohio, I slid over to the oil and gas industry to aid them in environmental compliance. So that was approximately 15 years ago. So I've been servicing the oil and gas industry since that time.
Would you have anticipated those transitions? I mean, if you look back to 15 years ago to see what the industry has done, number one, and then your hand in it and as it relates to the compliance side.
Yeah, so it's just oil and gas. When I got into it, was a little different ball game. It was a little more less restricted, I guess, might be a less regulated industry. But I think as things move forward, it's all for the better. There's a little tighter regulations, but companies have always been open and willing to try to comply since I've been involved. And the companies have grown over the years as well. So it's just a fantastic business to be in, actually, oil and gas. So.
In our last program, we talked about your work with the SUGA to create opportunities for those kind of members. But I would imagine equally, if not more important, is your work at the state level or on Capitol Hill, just to try to make sure that they're on the same page as we move forward into whatever's coming around the corner, which none of us knows, but we got to be ready for it.
Yeah. So, I personally we lean on the attorneys and the associations, the Oil and Gas Association of Ohio, SUGA, to be our representative in Columbus, and then we'll pull the information from them. So that's sort of how that evolves, and then we work towards compliance that way. But they definitely have our backs. It gives us an opportunity to express our concerns through those organizations, and then they work with legislative bodies.
All right, perfect. We just got a little smarter today about the oil and gas industry. Thanks to Brian Clink. He's with GES. We thank you and hope to get the opportunity to talk to you again in the future.
Very good. Me as well. Thank you.
All right. Energy Insights, the program brought to you each and every Saturday morning by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association.
Thank you for listening to Energy Insights, brought to you by the Southeastern Ohio Oil and Gas Association. Tune in every Saturday morning on WMOA Local Radio, JAWS Country, and ESPN as Johnny Wharf brings you a local and inside perspective on the oil and gas industry right here in the Mid-Ohio Valley.